Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with Krokar and the Lizardmen, going to be taking on the Warriors of Chaos, and I thought I'd go ahead and continue the spotlight with Lore of Heavens that we picked up yesterday. I had a lot of really good feedback from you guys, so we're going to be diving into some more action, taking a look at Lore of Heavens. So today, we're going to be looking at a little bit different spells. Last time I talked about how I thought my opponent should have brought the AoE damage effect spells just to help clear out the chaff faster, to let him then get on the Mortis engine so that he's not being drained. Because the idea there is, I know, the vampire infantry are going to lose that fight regardless, but if you can win faster, then you're not going to be draining, and you'll get more value out of the rest of your units because they'll have more HP left and so on. So this time we've gone for a little bit different of a paradigm here with Lore of Heavens, because we're facing off against Chaos, and I've got a front line of Saurus Warriors. We're going to be buffing them up with Harmonic Convergence, and then using Curse of the Midnight Wind, which is an excellent debuff, to then debuff the Warriors of Chaos. Of course, Krokar is here to hunt Shaggoths and other large targets. We've got Revivification Crystal for healing. Frontline, as I mentioned, is Saurus Warriors. We've got 4 Saurus Warriors with some Skink cohorts with javelins spread around, a single Temple Guard in the rear, and yeah, a unit of Kroxigors here. We've got a Skink Chief also on a Pterodon, and that about rounds out my build. If we go ahead and take a look at the Chaos player, we've got Big Bird here, which is not the most common pick against the Lizardmen, but I do think that he has some merit here, especially because you tend to see very heavy missile builds from the Lizardmen. With lots of Chameleon Skinks, Chiefs on Pterodons, Pterodon Riders, and so on. So Big Bird is going to be very sustainable against that missile fire. He also gives you a Caster Lord package that's unbreakable, causes fear and terror, and generally can be very useful. He has decent combat stats at 60 melee attack, only 40 melee defense, which is not the worst, but it's not the best either. He also today is carrying Plague of Rust, which he overcast that on a, if you overcast it's minus 60 armor, regular is minus 30. If you cast that on an enemy, all of a sudden that 60 melee attack and 40 melee defense and 440 weapon strength, which is mostly non-armor piercing at 300 non-armor piercing and only 140 armor piercing. When you drop that Plague of Rust, suddenly Big Bird becomes a lot scarier of a duelist, like a one-on-one melee combatant. So I definitely like that pick here, tearing away the armor of the big dinos, especially because my opponent has brought some Marauder Horse Masters, which I believe are over here. We've got 3 units of Marauder Horse Masters, so once again, you tear off the armor of the opponent, and then you allow these Marauder Horse Masters, who otherwise wouldn't do as much damage, to then fire in. So I definitely see what he's going for there. He's also got a Shaggoth for that elite anti-large armor piercing to help counter Carnosaurs and so on. We've got Chaos Marauders out towards the flanks. In the center is going to be a mix of 2 Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 2 Chaos Warriors with halberds, and a single Chosen with great weapons. And you guys have seen these guys in my replays before. They are true MVPs, definitely not to be trifled with whatsoever. So that's about it. Let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear. We'll watch as things unfold here. So first things first, we're going to be dropping this Skink Chief here. Just going around to do some early scouting and skirmishing. I definitely do not want to get caught up by these Marauder Horse Masters, but if we can bait out some shots from them, or potentially draw them into an unfavorable position, that's going to be great. We've got a couple shots on that Shaggoth. Didn't do much, as Shaggoths do have 70 armor and 25% missile resistance. It'll do a little bit, not a whole lot. Over the course of a battle, I mean, the Skink Chief can take a lot of ammo, so over the course of a long battle, he can definitely do a lot of damage there, but it'll take him some time. You can see I'm flying up and over the hill here, using this as kind of a blocker, especially because flying units, their elevation tends to vary wildly when they're flying over terrain features like this, which makes it really hard for ranged units to hit them. So I'm going to be just kind of circling up and around like this, trying to use this little cliff here as much as possible. You can see he kind of flew up and over that little horn there, and then all those shots ended up missing. So we're also going to try and draw him into range here of the Skink Javelins, which we have done. Now, Marauder Horse Masters are a little bit tankier than your typical, Marauder Horsemen. They have 50 armor rather than the, I believe, 20 or 30 the regular Marauder Horsemen have. So they're going to be a little bit tankier. They don't have a missile block chance, but, they're going to be a little bit tankier. I believe their Javelins do more damage. We'll have to check that after the fact. But they can potentially be very, very useful here. But they definitely not want to take that Skink Javelin Fire. We've used up about half the ammunition on this unit of Skink cohorts. Just going to be kind of forming things up in the center. Since my opponent, being Chaos, is just going to take this engagement all across the main line here. There's not too many mobile units that are going to be contesting these upper areas here. So we're just going to get the Hawk Gates battle underway here. The Lizardmen Spartans against the hordes of Persian Chaos, something like that. But anyway, you can see us kind of facing off here. Not really sure what to do at this point, so we're just going to move up and kind of start skirmishing a little bit. And my opponent is going to come forward. You can see each Skink Chief shot will do a bit of damage here. It might pick off a unit model or two. It doesn't do the most splash damage, but again, just picking off unit models here and there, definitely going to be useful. I didn't exactly notice that this unit was a Chosen right off the bat, or I probably would have been targeting them. But yeah, those Marauder Horsemasters definitely do a lot of damage to the Skink Chief, so I want to be careful. But all these units bunched up like this are going to be a great target for my Skink Javelins to throw at. So they're going to go ahead and pitch their volleys here and do some nice damage. All the units that lack a missile block chance are going to just take javelins to the face. And we're also going to drop a Chain Lightning. I also brought Chain Lightning just in case, because of the map selection in particular. I thought, if we're getting a very pitched engagement across this relatively narrow area, there might potentially be some blobs of Chaos Infantry, and Chain Lightning might potentially be useful there. So we were able to rack up only 6 kills, but do quite a bit of HP damage here. You can see that Shaggoth is coming in, and Saurus Warriors also getting the battle underway here, charging in. You can see that template debuff there. That's going to be that Curse of the Midnight Wind. So although the Skinks took a lot of shock damage and did get terrified away, the Saurus are here to hold the line now. And if we look at that Curse of the Midnight Wind, it's lowered all these Chaos Warriors down to 70 armor. It's also lowered their melee attack, the Halberds at least to about 0. Chosen are still going to have some combat stats, 22 melee attack and 46 melee defense, of course. But the Saurus Warriors, because, they do decent AP. They have 18 armor piercing, which is solid. But then that 34 non-armor piercing damage is going to do more because their armor is lowered. So definitely working out in my favor. We've got Krokar diving in on Big Bird here. Although there's the Shaggoth to support, we're going to hit Krokar with that Harmonic Convergence, which is going to juice his combat stats up. You can see 86 melee attack, 67 melee defense. So even dueling the Shaggoth one-on-one, Krokar shouldn't have too many issues while under the effects of that Harmonic Convergence there. We are taking a lot of a missile fire there, so I'm going to have to be careful. But again, just disengaging, recharging in to proc that charge bonus again. And here come the Temple Guard, since both the monsters are kind of committed on this side. We've got the Croc scores moving up on this side. They were able to munch through those Chaos Marauders, and now, even though the Croc scores normally wouldn't do super well against these Chaos Warriors with Halberds, with the support of these Saurus Warriors and more, they're able to stand in this pocket and deliver some heavy beatings on these Chaos Warriors with Halberds here. So far so good. Over on this side again, Saurus Warriors' great weapons will trade relatively evenly the Chaos Warriors' great weapons will trade relatively evenly with Saurus Warriors, but the Skink cohort will definitely help swing that. And of course, a rear charge from Croc scores here, or a flank charge, I guess. They're definitely going to get in here and take these Chaos Warriors to Pound Town. So, meanwhile, over on the other side, the infantry fight is a little bit more desperate. That Curse of the Midnight Wind has allowed these Saurus Warriors to trade much more effectively, but because there was that Kaiju battle going on, they definitely took some damage. That being said, Krokar was able to do enough damage to these Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, to this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, that the Temple Guard were able to finish him off there. We also hit that Temple Guard with another Harmonic Convergence to help him take down Big Bird. Definitely a powerful unit, and beyond the Chosen with great weapons, there's not going to be too much that can deal with them here. You can see, though, this unit of Chosen with great weapons, all things considered, they're fighting a significantly lower tier unit in this Saurus Warrior here, but because of the buffs and the debuffs, and of course the monstrous and missile support here, these Saurus Warriors are actually able to trade pretty efficiently with the Chosen with great weapons and hold out for quite a long time, which is the most important thing here. Because as you can see, we're doing a lot of damage to Big Bird. He's surrounded by Temple Guard. We've been able to isolate him a little bit here with Krokar. So Krokar getting in there with the Hand of the Gods and his awesome looking spear. Big Bird will be able to do some damage back to him, especially when he drops that Overcast Plague of Rust. Looks like the Shaggoth came back, also going to be doing some damage here, but honestly, we have the Revivification Crystal still relatively online. Of course, I say that, and then all of a sudden I can't find it, and he's in fact routing, but it looks like Gary's rallying here, going to be coming back in with that healing crystal there. These little Skinks riding his back, tossing their javelins off as well. But yeah, you can see that that missile fire from the Marauder Horsemaster is not going to do the most while the armor's not centered here, but Big Bird's got his hands a little bit full here trying to deal with the Temple Guard, and Krokar just finished off, well, didn't quite finish off, but he routed that Shaggoth one more time, and we're going to hit him with one more Harmonic Convergence here and have him turn around and deal with Big Bird. So very fun battle, very cool cinematic battle, very thematic matchup, of course. Chaos versus Lizardmen is a super fun matchup, and a little bit of a showcase in addition for the Lore of Heavens as well. Since we had talked about that a little bit last time, especially in relation to the Lizardmen, Krokar is of course a very competitive choice in a lot of situations, and you know, can be a very, very powerful tool. So when you take Krokar, that limits your Winds of Magic to either Beasts or Heavens, and personally, I think Heavens is a little bit better of a lore. I mean, Curse the Midnight Wind is one of the better debuffs in the game. Harmonic Convergence is kind of like Enfeebling Foe in that it's useful in almost any situation, particularly on heroic combat, you know, Lords going one-on-one, which happens quite a bit in Total War Warhammer. So I definitely think that Lore of Heavens is the more useful lore. Not to say that Beast is useless, but I find myself taking Lore of Heavens more often when taking a Krokar or, you know, other Lord build, a non-caster Lord build, I should say. So a very well played Deter. He's actually one of the players in the Total War Fantasy League, so fun to see him trying out some new things on ladder, kind of experimenting with some different stuff. I kind of see what he was going for here. Unfortunately, I don't think Big Bird quite paid out in the end. He did get 61 kills and was able to do quite a bit of work there, but you know, I have seen people take different builds with Big Bird where they take a caster separately and don't take any spells on Big Bird or of course myself, which you know, I tend to take Plague of Rust, which is a pretty decent one. The Searing Doomed isn't super useful in this particular matchup. Same thing with the Final Transmutation as well. Just because the Lizardmen have a lot of healing, it tends to not necessarily pay out as well as you would like, especially because Big Bird has doesn't have Arcane Conduit or any other magic regeneration abilities, so which is a little bit odd if you think about it. He's a, you know, Greater Demon of Tzeentch. You would think that he would have access to Arcane Conduit, but I guess not. But at the end of the day, you know, I kind of see what he was going for there. I'd have to play around a little bit and experiment with some different things before I think we find the optimal solution here, but I definitely kind of see what he was going for. For myself, thankfully, the Saurus Warriors were able to trade pretty efficiently in that front line. You can see over on the left side, these two were on the left against the Chosen and so on. They definitely took some damage, but they were able to hold up for the course of the battle, and with the Curse of the Midnight Wind and the Harmonic Convergence, were able to do very well. You guys may have seen, you know, my how to make Saurus beat Chosen video, where I use the same two buffs to make Saurus Warriors beat Chosen with Halberds. So a similar idea here, just using that Lore of Heavens buffs and debuffs. You guys also got to see the Chain Lightning in action again, which is a favorite spell of mine. A great vortex damage ability. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you like this Lore of Heavens spotlight, and what lore of magic would you like me to cover in detail next? There's a lot of lores of magic out there, a lot to learn, so you guys let me know what you want me to cover, and I'll go ahead and take a look, try and get some battles using that lore, and you know, kind of talking about the different spells and what they could be used for. So let me know your feedback in the comments down below. I look forward to reading it. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.